Hi, everybody. I'm Diane with A&B Insurance. I want to thank you all for attending today. I do encourage you to take notes. It's very important for you to create your plan to grow. I want to introduce to you Coach Steve. He's with us today. He's won numerous coaching awards, and just get ready to be inspired. Thank you, Steve.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I know there's a lot of sort of fear that's going out there in the marketplace, and what I want to do is getting away from the actual virus itself, get to the business side of really what's going on out there, get to the economic side, so we know what to do, and then how you and I can survive and thrive through this thing. Obviously, survival is number one, but how can we thrive too? Is there a way for us to be able to take advantage of what's out there? And I believe that really believe that there is. There's a lot of change going on. You know, there's a guy goes to his doctor and he says, doctor, every time I see dimes, quarters, nickels, pennies, I get into this panic attack. He goes, well, help me. And he goes, oh, settle down. He goes, oh, please help me. I get this panic attack. I can't help it. You know, is it the virus? And he goes, no, it's not you're not afraid of the virus. You're just afraid of change, because there's so much change that's going on, and it's being forced upon us. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we go through the presentation today. But change is okay. And I want to say is, how do we thrive in an environment of change? So if we can get through this survival part and get to the thriving part, that's going to be, you know, really fantastic. So, you know, ultimately, as we go through today, what I want to do is take you through a perspective of, you know, I think this is maybe the third or fourth time that I've been through an economic background before, from as a time of a coach, and then before I was coaching when I was out in the business. And you know, and when you see this 3 or 4 times, you see a lot of similarities. And what makes this one different, there's a lot of, is the speed in which everything is changing out there. You know, it's really making it happen. And when you sit there and you look back at the last sort of economic downturn, which maybe was in 2008-ish or somewhere in there, that one took a while to happen, because I mean, people, even while it was going on, was debating whether it was there or was not. It took months and months for that actually to play out. But right now, this stuff is happening so fast, and that's why we're all in this level of panic. You know, it's happening faster than any time in history that we've seen. I mean, it's really crazy. You know, so it's really important for us to understand the speed in which we have to now react back. We need to change. We need to adapt right now. And what we need to do is sometimes in a dramatic way, because when there's a slowdown, when it's slow, you can move fairly slowly, but when this downturn turns as speedy as it is, we have to move very fast. So what I want to do is get into today and talk about the 11 steps that we need to take right now to move and get our, and to get our businesses into survival mode and then into the thrive mode, which is, we need to be thinking about that, because there's going to be an end. And we need to really focus on a positive message out there. You know, in the beginning of all this, which is what now we're like in the 3rd week or so of us in sort of a partial and a full shutdown where we are in Florida, there was a massive amount of negative communication out there. And why? Because no one knew what was really going on. But now we could sort of begin to move towards the positive, and we could see where the opportunity side of all this is. You know, I know, you know, I'm trying to be sensitive to all the actual virus stuff, but when you look at it more from the economic impact of this thing, we can move now towards the positive. We know because we know that there's going to be an end to this. We know that there's going to be a specific time frame. You know, we know maybe it's going to be another 8 to 10 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, whatever that number is. But we know it's maybe a matter of weeks or a few months. It's not going to go on for our entire life. So whatever, if we begin to start planning for it, even if it takes a little bit longer, having that plan in place will help us move through this a lot better. So we know that there's going to be an end to this, so we need to prepare to come out of this as business professionals, entrepreneurs, stronger than we went into this. We need to prepare our business and people to be able to get this thing up to where it needs to be, so we can really, when this thing happens and this thing starts to move in a more positive direction, our businesses are there to thrive and start to take advantage of what is there. So the first thing I want to really focus on is our level of focus on our vision and our goals. You know, what is your level of passion, your level of enthusiasm? All that needs to rise. You know, how you are seen out there in the marketplace, you know, how you're communicating to the world is really vital right now. So for your team, even your family members, your customers, your vendors, they all need to see that you're in a positive framework. You could be falling apart inside, but you're outside. It needs to be, as a leader, you need to be the positive force in the marketplace. So if we're going to get through this, we have to be moving towards something. Hopefully, you know, that makes sense. So, you know, I know it's tough, you know, but the thing is the leader of your organization, you need to be the one stepping up to the plate. You need to be the one that's in front. You need to be the leader, and you need to have positive enthusiasm. Now, most of it, you know, most of it is because you have a plan. And maybe we'll get to that in a moment. But if you have a plan to survive and then thrive through this thing, then you can give positive, because now we're moving towards something. And we're not just winging it day by day, because as a wise man once told me, he said, winging it is not a strategy. So we need to sit down and come up with a plan. You know, I was talking with a business owner the other day. I've been talking to lots of different people, and you know, I had to say, and he was just very negative, and I had said, hey, buddy, you're not giving people something to focus on. You're not giving them somewhere to go. All you're doing is letting them sit in what's not happening. Give them somewhere to go. Give them something to focus on. Give them something to grab hold of, and then you got to give them something to move them forward with passion and enthusiasm. That's your job right now as a leader, whether you're leading a team or whether you're even leading your clients. It goes the same way as well. You know, your business could be stronger through this if you understand that there is a strength that will come out of all these challenges. Hope that's really a point that I really want to make sure that I stress and let everybody know. So now, first is you need to start telling your people that the number one job is not really to thrive right now. Our number one job is to survive. And that might not be a really positive message, but we need to be truthful and let people understand where things are at. We need to be clear. We have to let them know that, hey, times might get really tough for us right here, right? We need to, you know, there might need to be cutbacks. Everyone might need to share in a salary deduction for a period of time. You know, we all might have to live on 30, 40% of the money for a period of time. So as a company, as a group, we can all move forward with this, you know. But as a leader, you have to understand that if you do this survival stuff, then it gives you the opportunity to move to the thriving stuff, right? We have to survive first before we could thrive. So, and then one more thing about thriving is that we get to thrive from this and coming out stronger and better is you know, you're going to have your business will be better because of this. You know, I think when we're in this economic boom that we've had, a lot of business owners get fat and happy. Salespeople get fat and happy, and things come easy to us. So now it's time to really step back and go to the basics and really see where we need to do. But you know, you got to communicate to everyone, not just your employees, but we need to constantly be communicating to our customers. And you know, and I'm really not customers and employees, but we also have to be talking to our suppliers, our bankers, our community. You got to be communicating with everybody on a level where your communication has to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times greater than it used to be. You know, you need to start calling every employee in the company and speak to them one-on-one. You know, have daily meetings with your staff. You got to make sure that your level of communication is way, way higher than it's ever been before. And you know, and the thing is why do you have to really communicate with people more on a one-on-one basis during this time? Is we don't know, when people aren't seeing face, you don't really know how they're acting. It might be harder to them, and they might be having a harder time adjusting, working at home, or not being around a group of people than they're letting on. So you need to talk with them on a one-on-one basis and calm down their fears. And again, the way we do that is through understanding that we have a plan. This is what we're going to do, and then let them know that that you're an important part of the plan. You need to be able to sit down and do this and moving forward. All right, so that's positive, step one. Let's go to step two, is change, right? We have to look at possibly changing our business model. Change, you know, has been forced upon us. You know, we're in the middle of a changing market. People are changing. The mindset of humanity is changing. This is a massive shift going on in the world out there. But we have to understand that, and because what used to be is no longer, right? That we're in a new normal, if you will. You know, there's now BC and AC, you know, before the coronavirus and after the coronavirus. You know, there's got to be a different mentality now going forward. So there's got to be a different way of doing business going forward. There's going to be a different way of marketing. There's going to be a different way of sales. Everything has really shifted in the marketplace, and we need to see how, and we need to change with that shift. So, when you think about, what you got to change, okay, I have to change, but I don't know what to change or what to do next. Well, ActionCOACH, we have this simple formula of change that I have up on the screen. It's that first bullet point. It's D times V plus F has to be greater than R. And what the D stands for dissatisfaction. The V stands for vision. So the dissatisfaction times vision plus the F, which is our first steps, it has to be greater than the resistance. Right now, there's little resistance to change. But how come? Well, because we have to. People that used to hate technology are now embracing it because they have to survive. I was like, oh, I'm not a technical person. Well, I have to be now to survive, right? So we have to change to be able to grow with everything. So now in this case, where the toughest part is the first steps. That's the hardest. Why? Because times are different, and we have to now get new knowledge to implement what the new next steps are. We're not sure what will work. So, that's why I'm glad that everybody is with us here today in this webinar. Is understand that because you are here or because you're listening to the recording of this, you're ahead of the game because you need to change. And, and that's why you're here. So let's talk about the first steps. What do we need to do? So it's about, again, we talked about it before, is your vision is something that you have to have clear. Don't change your goal because the market has shifted. Don't say, okay, last year we wanted to do $1 million, but now the market shifted, so we're going to do $500,000. No, keep going for that $1 million. Keep doing that, because if you do that, you're going to start thinking of new and better ways, different ways of getting something done, getting something sold. There's an urgency that's happening out there in the marketplace right now, and that urgency is part of it is fed by people saying, no one's got any money, but that's not true, because if you think about it, companies and people up until this virus hit, we were having some of our best financial years of our lives all around the world. So don't think that everyone is out of money. Yeah, there's some people that are really hurting, but be clear, there's plenty of money out there. A lot of people are just reallocating it differently. They're holding on to their money, and unless there's a reason for them to spend it. So you have to be ahead of that and give them a reason and value for them to invest their money in you. So, and also when it comes down to change, is don't change your business with one big idea that you hope that gets a 100% difference of where we're at. We need to change our business with 100 ideas that gets you that 1% difference. The small pivots, you know, it's small changes, and it's the successes in those little details. And we're multiplying from that. Because right now the marketing is shifting. There's lots of opportunity massively out there for companies to shift if they do it right. You know, not trying to go out there and gouge prices and doing stupid stuff like that. You know, companies that do it right will come out of this much stronger and with far more opportunity than they started with. And if they do it, even if they really do it right, they'll actually even build better relationships and stronger relationships with their customers as well. And there's going to be some idea that there's going to be some ideas that a few months ago you said, hey, that was like really a stupid idea, but it's like, you know what, that might be a good thing to try right now. So crazy ideas it's a time to sort of sit there. So you know, we might be forced into doing those things 12 months ago that we shelved. We said, hey, because it didn't seem like it was going to do anything. It wasn't really a smart idea, but right now you never know, you know. And also the other thing too is look at what's being purchased right now massively that I can maybe shift towards, you know, everybody, you know, is needing X. Okay, right now, if you look out in the marketplace, everyone needs this one thing or these things. So how can I pivot towards that X and just do that, or make it in some way, or help the industry that is providing that X? You know, when you know we all got to make these shifts, the opportunity is massive right now because the market is different. We need to look at our business from a different thing. And, you know, sometimes we might have to move into different markets. You might have to look at where you could sell. Before maybe you sold only locally. Well, now you could start selling virtually. So you could start selling across the whole country. You know, I picked up and been talking to people that have been outside of Jacksonville that are looking for a business coach right now to help them through this time. So, you know, I'm getting calls from businesses in Orlando. So you might have to shift maybe the product that you might have to shift or the service, the things that are being purchased to things that are being purchased right now. But remember that some of these changes are really going to only be a short term. You know, the shift might just be for the next 30, 60, 90 days. But some businesses might sort of sit down and say, hey, I'm going to shift. And, you know, I can say, hey, wow, this is a great new direction for our business going forward. You know, there are going to be a lot of new innovations because we're forced to think about our businesses in a different way. And one of those things is really step number 3. Step number 3 is the virtual is the new normal. Yes, as I mentioned before, people that were technology challenged have to become technology gurus right now. Everybody's got to figure out, how do I use a Zoom so I can meet with my clients? But because we're all forced to go virtual, you know, and doing things we, you know, it's not really doing things that we never thought of. You know, you know, the thing, why do people are being forced to use technology like they never used it before? Because there was nothing forcing them to do that. Their dissatisfaction wasn't great enough to overcome that resistance to learn how to use this new technology. But now we have this vision that if I don't change, I'm going to do what? I'm going to be obsolete as this whole new world starts moving forward to a virtual thing. So as crazy as this is, it's forcing this world to change in a massive way. So how do we as entrepreneurs change with that as well? Let's see what else is, so look at different ways of how can we sell virtually, where in the past we never did it. But if we do that, we have to go back and look at what are the steps of our sales process. How do we have to change our sales process when we're starting to sell online? Does our presentation have to change when we're doing a virtual presentation instead of a face-to-face? There's a lot of people that right now, most of us here, everybody on this call, we're all working from home. And so I was talking with a CPA client of mine, and they're sitting there going, as everybody's going virtual, do we actually really need all this office space that we have right now? We don't really need as much space as we did before. Maybe you're a retailer store and you start selling more online, and you can start shifting like that. We have to think as much about what are the possibilities of selling virtually than we ever did before. So the next thing when it comes to virtual is, how do I manage my people when they're not face-to-face in front of me, right? That's a big challenge. So there's 4 things I sort of want to cover on that. So it's really huddles. One of the things that Diane is doing with her team is they're huddling every day, but huddles have to sort of sometimes really multiple times. And it's simple doing it on Zoom. You could do it on, there's a variety of different formats out there that you could do it. You could even use, there's a service that I use, is freeconferencecall.net, where you could do conference calls for free. You could actually even do virtual meetings on there for free. The technology is out there. If you want the more bells and whistles, you could then pay for those services. But what we need to do is begin our day with a huddle, about what's everybody going to do today. What are we going to get done? What needs to happen? And then there needs to be a huddle at the end of the day of checking in and says, what's working, what's not working, where are we at, what did we actually get accomplished today? Before this, and Diane knows, and Carl knows, is before this, I always was preaching to have these morning 5-minute meetings. Well, now these meetings, instead of going stand-up meetings in the office, the reason they were stand-up meetings was so we would know that they were short, keep them short, because no one wants to stand around for a half hour. But now we're going to have these virtual meetings. But you have to, again, keep them very short and sweet, because we'll lose people's concentration and stuff. But the second thing that we're doing too, and telling our clients to do, is to have written documents every day. And this is stuff that we did before, but it's more important to do this now in a virtual environment, is that everybody has to send in to their sales manager, or leader, whatever, of what they're doing that day. So it forces them to think and create a plan of, what am I doing today, right? I got to write down and make sure that and so the business owner, the leader, understands where everybody's focus is. And then we need to be going in and doing a reporting every day, and of what's getting done and what's not getting done. Also, financial reporting needs to probably get done more now on a daily basis than before, where it was weekly and monthly. We need to start, a lot of businesses need to really pay attention to what's my daily cash flow that's going on there, so we could stay as ahead of the game and that type of stuff. So, and then the last thing is, I sort of mentioned it before, is that we need to do the one-on-one calls and check-ins with our people, because we just don't know. Just don't assume that they're okay. Make sure that they're doing okay personally. Get in touch with them, and because I'm not talking about talking to your customers, your vendors. I'm talking about here is really talk to your employees and really get to understand what's going on with them, and drop down their level of fear, anxiety, and frustration too. That will help. And then also, as the job of the leader, you need to make sure that everybody's stuff is set up in their home, so they can work from home and have all those things in there. I was talking with my IT guy on Friday. I was having some issues with my computer, and he's busier than he ever did before, because businesses are trying to go virtual and they're trying to help him get things set up so they have all the security protocols in place like they did at work. So those are some things that are, to think about. And then the last thing too is think about social distancing is going to be the new normal when we get out of this. You know, when we get out of this and we start having meetings and stuff like that, it's not going to just go away all of a sudden. So people still need to do this. And when we're doing programs, we're doing networking events, think about that as well, because that's a way of helping and getting people to feel comfortable. All right, so the fourth step that we need to sit down and to focus on is our cash flow management. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I would say, hey, you got to stock up on cash, make sure everything is ready to go so we can get through this. Now, you know, it's still a good time to sit down and cutting costs, but not crazy. You know, sometimes, you know, people are our biggest expense. That's why hopefully as everybody has applied for some of the government's assistance on the payroll plans to get small businesses money so they could pay employees to keep business going. And the government is really, think about it, by that money, they don't have all the same work that they had before, but they're paying you to really change the model of your businesses, get your business people, you know, using this for massive training, investing in your people. There's lots of different things that are going on that you could do that. But things that you might need to think about is maybe it's now the time to negotiate your phone contract, negotiate possibly with your landlord. You know, where are some of the things that we can negotiate, because we got fat and happy over the, you know, the last few years, and maybe we're paying a little bit more than we should. So now might be a good time to go in and negotiate. I was talking with one of my clients that, you know, to go back and talk to, they were doing some radio, is go back and talk to them about what can we do, you know, with things are hard, tough. I still want to market. And what they ended up doing was not cutting back their budget, but the radio station like doubled them in an amount of, because they had all this inventory, they doubled the amount of spots that they had for free. So you never know what you can get. So you're not necessarily saving money, but I'm getting my name and it's just another way of doing it. If you haven't done yet, maybe looking at extending your line of credit, extending your credit, and not because you need it right now, but we never know what's going to happen. It's probably easier to get a line of credit now and to get these loans now than it might be in 3 or 6 months when things are a lot harder and your business doesn't look so good on the books or whatever. Think about your partners and suppliers. You really need to keep paying them. Don't mess with those partnerships that you have, because they're the ones that are going to help you to survive and then thrive as you get out of this. Make sure that they're on top of the list. Make sure you pay the landlord. It's like, okay, yeah, I could put him off, but you're eventually going to have to pay him. So don't put it off, because it'll be harder down the road. So and then again, from my perspective, I've never really taken handouts before in my business, you know, but I said, hey, this is something that the government is doing for me to help me through this and giving me back some of my tax money that I paid them. So I swallowed my ego and went and applied for the payroll protection program, and everybody should be doing that right now. Is let's take advantage of the money that is available. If you don't use it, it's easy. You can go ahead and get back. But having this cash flow available to us is really going to help us be able to be there to thrive when this thing is moving on. All right, so let's move to step 4. Step 4 is now our marketing has to shift. Whatever it was before, you got to shift your marketing. You can't, the message can't be the same. I keep getting these emails from these mass marketers that are trying to market their service. Some of them are actually something that I might be thinking about, but their message to me isn't going to what my pain is right now. And you need to change the message and understand where your customer's pain is how can you now solve that problem? Your service, you might not have to change what your product or your service is, but let them know how you can help them. You know, and the message also has to come with a message of compassion, you know, that, you know, is because everybody is hurting in one way or the other out there. And each in our marketing messages has to have a sense of urgency. We need to let people know why they need to buy with us, what value is there, and why they need to do it now. If we don't tell them that, they're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about, oh, I have this problem, this person can help me. But you have to get them thinking that, hey, this might be a solution to those issues that they're dealing with right now. And also too, the world has shifted. You know, most people want to hear from you now, and especially if you're doing the right things. You know, and my marketing is going out, and overwhelmingly, I'm doing a lot more marketing, a lot more emails, and I'm getting a lot more positives and thank yous back from people. But there's a few people that saying, hey, you're sending me too much stuff. And it's like, and I'm thinking, you know, one of the emails I sent out, and I'll talk to you guys about it, is a free 10-day training program that actually goes into very specific things of what you need to do. This is like the high level stuff. We're going to give a 10-day recorded thing for free that normally would cost like maybe $5,000, but we're giving it because we want to help as many business people as possible. And because if you're out there doing the right thing, you know, for your marketing, people will thank you. They will realize what's going on and what's happening, but you have to give them that knowledge. And then the last part in that is you need to know your marketing numbers better than ever. Marketing is math. Some people hate when I say that, but it all comes down to is how much does it cost to buy a lead? How much does it cost me to buy a customer? What's your acquisition cost? If I spend $1,000 in advertising and I get 10 leads, it costs me $100 in leads. So now if I know that, now what can I do? How do I change that message? How do I tweak it to increase that acquisition cost of a lead? And if I go from those 10 leads and now get one customer off of it, it costs me $1,000 to generate that customer. Is that good or bad? It depends. If you're selling candy bars, no, you got to sell a lot of candy bars to make up that $1,000. But if you're selling homes and you're in real estate, that $1,000 might be a little bit easier. All right, so there's a variety of different things that we need to sort of look at it. So really focus on, is my marketing message right? Because whatever your marketing message was before this, you have to really go back in, and 90% of the messages has to change. And then to tie that in, going back, is we have to sell, and I sort of mentioned, we have to sell with compassion. Our tone of our sales has to be with compassion. You know, when business was doing really well, you could do a little bit of a harder sell. But you know, we could, but right now when people are going through a lot of hardship, that's just going to turn off people. You know, so today you have to have empathy with what they're going for, and think about, how do you become a problem solver? You know, what is your client's they had compelling needs before, but those needs, the needs might be the same, but the ones that are compelling might be different. So how do you create a credible solution to that new compelling challenge that they have? And then how do you do that with perceived? How do you develop value for that? Those are things that we need to do that, but we need to do that within a compassionate way. And the other thing is, because relationships really matter when it comes to sales. Everybody understands this, but don't let anybody make you feel guilty because you're out there trying to build your business right now, because you're saving jobs, you're trying to keep the economy going, you're trying to help feed your family. People understand this. So if you're selling something of value, and something of value to that person, and that could solve their problems or some of the issues, or relieve some of the issues that they're having, they'll appreciate that. They will help you even to sell for you, right? So and the other thing to talk about, we've mentioned it before, when it comes to building relationships with our clients. We talked about it this morning on our morning huddle, that there's three types of customers that are out there. There's some that we know that we're going to lose or we lost already. There's some that are struggling, but they're still working through all this. And there's some that are doing pretty well. They're starting to thrive. So what can we upsell to them? So we need to sit down and look at it and break out our clientele into those three groups, because our messages to them changes. The ones that we're about to lose, or have lost, we need to get in front of them and talk to them and see, hey, how can we help them right now, right? Because they're hurting, and whatever you can do to help them to keep their businesses going, they will remember that going forward, right? And then you need to hit the ones that are thriving. Is how can you upsell them? What can you do right now that can help them? Because now they're getting overwhelmed because their demand in their product or service is so much higher than it was before. So it's always about cementing these new relationships with clients, giving them something useful that they could use. Giving them something that you haven't done before, giving them something that they haven't done before, or maybe coming up with a new product that can help solve those issues. All right, so that's step number 6. So step number 7 is customer service for repeat business. We need to really keep all of our existing business. That's why we have to sort of break them down into those 3 categories and really build relationships. Now's the time is to go up and beyond what our clients expected of us, so we can create really a greater and a deeper relationship. Now it's time to really start building our customer loyalty. We talked about within ActionCOACH, there's a ladder of loyalty, and it starts off the lower level of loyalty is, those are the suspects out there. Those are the people that can use our service or our products, but they don't know about it yet. Then there are our prospects. Those are people that you have their contact information. You can contact. They've reached out their hand and said, hey, tell me a little bit about your product or service. How can it help me? And then you have a customer, right? A customer is somebody that has bought from you once, but now the question is how can I get them to that next level? And how can I get them to then have so much to where we create like a membership program, so they feel like they're part of a family, that you're always looking out for them. What added benefits do they have by continuing to use that service? Because then we turn them into an advocate, that if somebody's looking for your product or service, they're going to be the first one out there and just be raving about you. But we want to get them to the point where they're always raving about you and really creating raving fans, where they're out there shouting from the hilltops about how great you are to anybody. They're almost part of your sales team and your marketing approach. And how do we then award them as well? So customer service right now is really important, especially if you have your team in there, they have a little bit more time to focus on who my A and B customers are that we've ignored in the past. How can we provide them with more service to create that and build that, to build that relationship? Because repeat business, that's where your profit is in your business. Okay, it's as simple as that. Because it costs a lot more to go out and market and get new customers, especially now in today's climate, than it is to keep our current customer base. So that's the 7th step. The 8th step is, how do we get the most out of our people? Is we need to go into, and I sort of mentioned this earlier, we need to go from the mindset of fear into focus. We need to give them a new vision of where we're going and what we want to achieve. We need to set new standards, because what worked in the past and what you expected from them in the past might not be the same as it is today. They might be, their job might have shifted. And if they don't shift with their added responsibilities, you're not going to be able to get the most out of those people. They have to have total buy-in of what you need to get out of them right now. So you need to look at where in your business that where, and turn your people from being a cost into how are they profit producing, right? So sometimes you have to look at, okay, do I shift my people that are support people instead of laying them off because there's not much phone calls coming in, but how do I move them or shift them into helping our sales staff so they can go out and they could talk to more people, get more proposals out, and really doing that. So now they're turning a cost center into a profit center within your business. And you might find that there's going to be some people that really shine out of this, and that might be a new position that they have that you've created to support your sales staff and be able to keep generating business as things really pick up when we get into the thrive mode. And then, as I'm talking about, this is the time to, when things are slower, is to train and retrain. Train on your processes, train on, when was the last time you've done sales training with your team? How can you become better? Who does your team need to be to do those necessary things to get them to have the company have what it wants to be able to do that? And really is by doing all these things, the goal is to keep as many as our team members as possible. That's what we want to go. Or the people that buy into all of this, that understand this, those are going to be the people that we want to be and want to be part of our team. So step number 9, we're getting to the end, is we need to build a strong mindset. We need to set daily rituals. When we got to work, there was always a set thing that we did every single day, right? We got to work, we turned our computer on, we did all this. We had to get up in the morning, we got into our car, we drove to work. These were part of our daily rituals that are now missing. And so because they're missing, it throws us out of whack. We don't know what day it is, right? Every day seems like the same day because it's like our scenery doesn't change. We're working from, instead of my office, I'm working from my living room, or I'm working from my home office or whatever. But so it gets to be monotonous. And this is a challenge that people have when they work at home normally, is how do I split my home and my business? So by having daily rituals, part of that is still getting up and getting dressed for work, even though it's but if you get dressed for work like you were in the office, it gets you to feel that mindset that I'm here ready for work. Create part of that day that you have, because maybe you have a little bit more time on your hand, is what are you going to learn? Is every day pick a topic that that you want to be better at it as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a salesperson, and find a book and read 5 pages or a chapter a day on that. Make that part of your daily routine to build your mindset of it, because you have to learn to earn and use our time wisely. Don't use the time of surfing on Facebook. There's maybe a time for that just to break in there, but we need to sit down and use our time wisely. Don't be sitting down and watching 10 hours straight of Netflix. It might be entertaining, but it won't make you grow. It won't give you that success mindset. It will get you back into lazy mode, that when it's time to work, we're still in that, I'd rather be sitting there watching a Netflix all day long, right? And then maybe doing this as part of your huddle, I do this a lot, is what are the small wins that you have each day? Is shared that with your teams of what's going on. And because people, by sharing those wins, normally they sort of happen in the environment in the office, but now people aren't aware of them. So you need to share it, whether you do it in your morning huddles or whether you do it as by an email. It's like, hey, I just landed this client, or boom, this happened, or this good thing, or hey, my son just did this, whatever it is. Share good news with people, because good news breeds good news. Wins breeds wins. And I think that's really the most important thing, is how do we focus on our mindset and our team's mindset as well. So then step 10 is we need to plan for the next 90 days out. And I think best case scenarios, we're sitting there looking at this should be no longer than 90 days, maybe only 30 or 60 days. So part of that 90-day plan is how do I survive, which we've talked about, but then how do I get my business to thrive if this thing is going to be ending in 90 days? So I hit the road running instead of taking 3 months or a quarter to figure out what do I need to do now. Because going back to the way we did things before isn't going to work, because the whole world has changed no matter what. People's mindsets are different, people's needs are different. So again, it's first survive, then thrive, and if anybody, one of the things, and then the other thing to sit down and to look at, I'm going to come back and talk about working about a coach in a second, but this is a great area of opportunity. I don't know what everybody's business is in, but this is a great time to look at how do we grow through acquisition. Because a lot of businesses aren't going to be proactive. They're going to be set in fear, and their business is not going to be doing well. So you have the ability to go in and buy businesses on a fire sale, because one, you're going to be helping them because they hadn't done anything and they need to have some cash to survive. The business is just going to go away. So you could buy their business, or you could just buy their clients and actually give them a job. I know of an HVAC company that would, when the economy would sort of go into the winter and things would slow down, and I'm talking about in the bigger sense of winter when there's an economic slowdown, the guys that are working out of their trucks, where they were just feeding off of all the businesses that all the larger companies couldn't get to. But now all that is dried up. So these guys don't know how to market. They don't know how to go out and get a job. They don't know how to hire and get good people out there. So what he would do is he would go in and buy their clients, sell them service agreements, and then offer this guy a security of offering him a job and with benefits and whatever. And every time it was an economic slowdown, his business would grow by 20%, 30%, because he had this strategy in mind. So we need to understand that the economics that we were coming from when we talk about the economic cycles, thinking about business cycles are like a farmer cycle when he goes out there. But except a farmer cycle is annually. A business cycle actually goes around every 10 years or so. And so in the spring, what's the time that a farmer does? That's where he's going in, and that's the time for planting. And he's going in and he's doing all the prep work because he knows summer is coming. And then summer is coming, that's when he's starting to make money. He's starting to harvest, and things are doing really well, and they're really busy. But now fall comes. Fall is the real harvest time. And what is happening during this time is the farmer knows that this good stuff isn't going to last forever. Winter is about to come. And in winter, farmers make no money. So they need to be saving their cash. They need to be sitting there and looking in the times of fall of where do I need to reduce my expenses? But that's a time that they're also buying equipment because it's cheaper. That's the time that they're doing training. They're looking and they're starting to plan because they know that after winter, there's spring is coming. So we have gone from spring or summer, we skipped fall. We did because things are moving so fast. We went straight into winter. And my thought is, in Florida, this makes sense. If you sit down and you think about it, what was the first thing everybody did when things were flying off the shelf and there was this crisis coming? Everybody in Florida bought water. I had no idea. There's plenty of water out there. We could have water in our faucets. Water wasn't what we needed, but we are so ingrained that when there's a crisis, when there's a hurricane, the first thing everybody knows it runs out of is we need to buy water, right? And then everybody has so much water afterwards it lasts them 6 months. So, but the thing but we sit down and know that we need to we're getting into a hurricane mode. If you have hurricane protocols, this change was easy. But So I'm thinking of this. This is just a really bad hurricane that's hitting us. But when the hurricane is over, you know, the city's changed and stuff, but it could still be summer out there. We don't go straight into winter. We can go back into, I think, a summer, and that's where the whole point is that we can thrive right now. And that's really what I want to get across to everybody today is act now, because even though we're hurting, but think about what does even if your business is shut down, what do you need to do right now for when it's time to open up? You have your plan in place. The people know what is supposed to do. Everybody is around you, and everybody hits into gear. So those are the 11 steps that we need to take and put into practice. Hopefully everybody got some really good ideas out of this. And there's one thing two things I want to share with everybody. Some of the people are already on it. Is every day at 10 a.m. Diane is on it. There's a couple other people on this call have been on it. Is I do a Jacksonville business huddle, and it's a time where we sort of network together, we connect, we learn some new ideas, we go through some of the things that we talked about here today in a little bit greater detail, and then then it allows us to grow. So that's free of charge. Everybody just go on the jacksonvillebizhuddle.com. I'm going to be doing it this week. Normally it's Monday through Friday. This week I'm just going to be doing it Monday and Tuesday. I'm looking to, there's somebody I'm looking to take over for Wednesday through Friday because I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm just not sure if logistically through Zoho I can give him controls of everything, but those are technical things that I'm working on right now. But the next thing is that I'm putting aside 5 pro bono coaching hours a week to coach 5 different businesses who need to help them to survive and thrive. So anybody that is on this call right now, especially if you want to take some of the things that we learned here today and how do I apply it into my business, or I'm not really sure where to start, my phone number is down on the bottom. Give me a call. My website's down on the bottom. You can connect with me through there, but let's sit down and take me up on that hour phone call, and let's see what we need to do to help you to really get through this survive mode and then into thrive mode. But most importantly, I want to end up with this last thing. Is ActionCOACH is a worldwide coaching organization where you have coaches in over 80 different countries around the world. Our founder is Brad Sugars, and he is one of the top business coaches in the world. Personally, he's my business mentor. And what he has done for the business community around the world is he's created a 10-day, 5-hour training program for business owners to really take what we're doing. He took like this information that I had it right now, and he spends a half hour going through more details of what specific things that you need to do. So on there's the link to be able to subscribe to it. It's a free 10-hour course. Normally when Brad does these programs and promotes it worldwide, he's selling these programs for $3,000 to $5,000 each. He's giving this away to every business owner, every entrepreneur, because we know that right now we're all hurting. We all need to change our mindset and our direction. So go down to actioncoach.com/COVID-19 business survival training and training, and please take us up on that, because it will be something that learnings that you could take with you outside of just this crisis area as well. So with that, I want to thank everybody to come in there. As you know, with ActionCOACH, you know, I'm socially distant. I can't be with all my clients on a face-to-face basis here, but we're here to help every business owner right now that needs help. So take me up on that and participate in the 5 pro bono coaching hours that I'm doing right now. Join our business huddle. If you're not really sure how to do it, you could talk to Diane. She can give you even the login information with that. With that, does anybody have any questions or concerns or anything like that? I could open that up to questions, maybe just sort of put them into the chat, and I could try to respond to them that way. Or are we all good? That's fine. All right. Well, I appreciate again everybody and Diane allowing me to really do this call for your clients and for your team, and let them know that there was a lot of people that had registered for this that weren't able to make it on the call. I am going to go and send out hopefully I have been recording this, it's working. I'm going to be send the recording out to everyone, and we'll be able to be set and ready to go. So with that, thank you very much, and be safe, stay healthy, and have an awesome day. Thank you very much.